Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Miss Crochet and Coffee here. And today we're doing our Wip N Chat. So get out whatever it is you're working on. Work along with me. I am working on Colorful Lady from Tmall over at DP with Sparklers. I will leave the instructions on how you can order this kit down below because it's not featured quite on her website just yet. So I will leave the instructions on how to order it down below in the description box. So please check there. I hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. First off, I would like to say thank you to each and every person that gave me that silence that I needed to take care of some stuff here at the house. So if you're on my Instagram or my Facebook business page, you would have saw that I asked for silence this weekend because Orion wasn't feeling well. Now, it's not what everybody thinks. So it's not COVID. And I have been having to keep repeating that all weekend, not because of you guys, but because of Maggie. We'll get into the stories. So again, I hope you guys had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Please excuse the lawnmower guy outside. It's Monday that I'm recording this, so you're going to hear the guy outside cutting grass. So this weekend, I've decided that I need to set boundaries with people in my life because I'm spending too much time not enjoying myself throughout the day because I'm spending too much time on my phone. So like I'm setting boundaries for like everything in my life right now where I will only answer, you know, because I have business hours, but if I'm not doing anything, I would still look at my phone. I got to set some boundaries because some people are getting a little out of pocket with how much they message me and all this other kind of craziness. So I'm just like, yeah, it's time to set some boundaries. So I was talking to Mr. Coffee this weekend about the channel and where we see it going and everything else from here, because essentially I've done about everything I can possibly think of on this channel when it comes to diamond painting. Like, I don't think there's much else I can do. I will try to figure out things to do, but for the most part, I've pretty much done everything. So unless there's like a new company that pops up every once in a while, like there's not really a whole lot that I can do that's audience engaging unless I switch my schedule up. Now, my schedule will probably be changing to the point where I won't be posting as many videos, and I know you guys are going to freak out when I say that, but don't freak out. Even though I'm not going to be posting as many videos, I'm going to be spending the days that I'm not posting videos focusing on the shop and getting sublimation stuff done and ordering new, bigger, better things for the shop because it's time. It's time. I want to order a heat press, like a regular heat press and not like the Cricut Easy Press that I have. So I want to open up the shop and have the shop open, like have a day every week that the shop opens and then a day every week that all the orders get shipped out. So I am going to start focusing on that a little bit more, which means I have to cut back on the channel. Right now, I post about 5 to 6 videos a week, so I'm thinking of cutting back to 4. Don't worry, you won't miss your live or your Wip N Chat. They will still be there. Just on those odd days, I'll have like a What You Got Wednesday, or I'll have an unboxing. But I need to have time to be able to spend with my family because one of the biggest complaints Mr. Coffee has right now is that we don't spend a whole lot of time together. And when we do, I'm on my phone. And I can see that because I do spend a lot of time answering questions because I get questions at all hours of the day. And I need that time with him. And a lot of the time, like even when he comes in from work, I'm on the phone with my dad. And my dad will have me on the phone for hours. So even with my dad, I have to start setting boundaries of, okay, we can talk, but we can't talk for hours. We can't talk every day. It needs to like, I gotta get into some kind of a schedule with like everything. So I'm sitting there and we are talking about the channel and everything and, you know, just about whatever. And I told him, you know, I was a little worried about Orion. Now with Orion has severe allergies. If you have allergies, you know allergies suck in general. But to have severe allergies to things, like it's over the top. Like his body is super extra whenever it comes to allergies. It's like his body's like, hello, new allergen, wah, 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 wah. Time to show out. And so this weekend, I told Mr. Coffee I was a little concerned because he had been sniffling since school started, but hasn't complained about anything. Now, tell me if your child does this. If you have children, does your child do this? When you go to ask them if they feel okay, they go, I don't know. What do you mean you don't? What do you mean you don't know? I don't know. You don't, so you don't know how you're feeling? No. Oh, okay. Are you happy right now? Not really. Okay. Are you feeling gross right now? No. Okay. All right. So like I have to have leading questions like that whenever I'm talking to Orion, because he won't just be like, Mom, my head hurts. No, it's always, I don't know. And then you have to pry out of him what is wrong with him. So we could tell Friday Orion wasn't feeling the best, and we couldn't figure out why. And I mean, I kind of had an idea why, because with him going to a new school and being introduced to new allergens, I figured that was why he wasn't feeling the best. So, I was just like, is it time for that day off of school? Because every year, within the first week of school, Orion stays off of school for 1 day because of his allergies. Especially this year, because he hasn't been in a school setting in a year. So to go back to a school setting around a bunch of new kids, and none of them are wearing masks or anything. So it's like all those new, being introduced to all that new environment and everything else really triggers his asthma and his allergies up really bad. So we were like, is it time for that day off school? And he's like, I don't think so. Well, then we came down to the real reason why. And I should have known something was up. But for some reason, I was just hoping that I've been so stressed about the whole panoramic that I haven't been paying attention to a lot of other little details in life. And so another reason why I need that time, to focus on other things is because I'm not focusing on things the way I should be. Now, of course, I'm a concerned mom. I'm always going to be a concerned mom. That bipolar disorder makes me super paranoid and like overprotective of my kids, and I don't care. Fight me for it. So these my kids. I had to tell some lady that this weekend. She said something about taking my son. I had someone this weekend that completely ignored what I asked, which was to have the silence so that I can take care of Orion. She messages me and asks me if it's COVID, and I tell her no. She then says, you should try to get him checked out. Chick, this my kid. Get out of here. Like, look, listen, I don't try to be mean to people. When you give unsolicited parenting advice, that's where I draw the lines. I'm like, look, listen, I didn't ask for this, and I don't appreciate it. It's not COVID. You don't know my son like I do, or at all. So, like, yeah, no, I don't need to take him to go get a COVID test and possibly get him COVID going to the doctor's office. So I'm like, no, he has allergies. Thank you. Good day, ma'am. So I knew something was up, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was. Now, it dawned on me after we figured out what it was that this is what was happening. First telltale sign that I missed. Orion asked to go outside. Now, if you know my son never asked to go outside. Outside that's just not a thing for Orion. Orion is a hermit like his mother. He's a gamer, and his games are on the inside. So why would he want to go outside all of a sudden? And he got home from school Friday. He asked could he go outside. Again, I didn't think of it. I was just excited because I'm like, the kids are making new friends. They're doing great at school. Looks like their school year is going to be okay. And now they're talking about distance learning again. And I'm just like, oh, yes, I'm here for it. But Maggie doesn't want to distance learn because she wants free lunch. And I'm like, chick, every lunch you eat is free. You don't got to pay for none of it. I pay for it. I don't see what the big deal is about school lunch. But she says, I don't care. She wants free lunch and free breakfast from school. And I'm like, all right, bet. So she's going to, if we decide to homeschool again this year, Maggie will be staying at regular school. She needs it anyway. She really is doing well in school. And Orion will be homeschooled because, it's Orion. So we had made that decision already, which I think I talked about in live on Friday, which, again, to everybody who was able to make it out to live, thank you. Love hanging out with you guys on Friday nights. So Orion had asked to go out Friday to go outside and play with the kids. And I'm like, again, it's odd, but you know what? He's making friends. He's being friendly. Go outside, bud. Have fun. Now, I don't go outside with the kids because I don't need to watch them like that hard. Jeez, I'm overprotective, but I'm not that overprotective. I just warned them, like my usual warning. Don't get kidnapped. Stay safe. Don't talk to strangers. Okay. So I'm sitting there and he comes back inside maybe an hour later and he's not feeling the best. And I was just like, well, it's probably all the allergens from outside because he's been outside a lot lately and didn't dawn on me why. So I was just like, oh, well, just go lay down for a little bit, dude. Mr. Coffee comes home. We have dinner. His face is all puffy and his eyes are watering, and I'm like, are your allergies messing up, dude? And he's like, I don't know. Now take it. Orion's had this issue every year. Pretty much numerous times a year, Orion has an issue with his allergies because when the weather changes, his allergies act up. And then, of course, like household allergens like pollen and dust and grass and mold and all kinds of fun stuff, which is another reason why I have to keep the house so clean, because if I don't, it makes him super sick. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay. And I look at Mr. Coffee and I'm like, something's not right here. And he's like, I know. And I'm like, what are we going to do? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, but you know everything else. Anyways, so, so we're sitting there and then we're like, you know, just let him go. He went to bed at a good time on Saturday, which was odd because the kids are only allowed to stay up now past their bedtime on Saturdays, Fridays and Saturdays, essentially. Fridays, they get to stay up an hour later than normal. And then Saturdays, they just go to bed whenever they pass out, which with school and everything else, they usually pass out about 10:30. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. Again, I'm a strict mom, but not a strict mom, if you want to try to figure that out. So Saturday comes, he gets up, he has breakfast, he goes, can I go outside? And I'm like, what? Okay, whoa, stop. Hold the phone. What is going on? And he's like, what? I'm like, what is going on with you? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, why do you want to go outside all of a sudden? Because I know at this point, my spidey senses are tingling. And I'm like, something's up. I'm like, why are you wanting to go outside all of a sudden? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, Orion, you've asked to go outside every day for the last week. He goes, I just like going outside. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't like going outside. You've never liked going outside. Something is up. And he's like, Mom, there's nothing up. I promise. Everything's fine. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, be careful. Don't roll around in the grass because your allergies are already messing up. And he goes, okay, Mom. He goes outside. He comes back in maybe an hour later again. And he's like, I'm not feeling too hot. I'm like, okay. Now, if you don't remember me saying this, we got new neighbors. They're really cool peoples. And they're super quiet. So I like that. We ain't quiet. We're not. Like, me alone, yet no. But they said that they can't hear us. So I'm like, I'm really hoping that they can't, because we can't hear them over there. We can't hear them do, essentially, if they slam a kitchen cabinet, we found that we can hear them. Other than that, we can't hear them talking, going to the bathroom, sleeping, snoring, nothing like that. So I was like, these got some good insulation in these walls, because our house is attached to each other. So I'm like, at least we got good insulation. So I'm sitting there. And I'm like, all right, our neighbors have a stray cat. Let me explain, because I had to have it explained to me, because I'm like, what the hell does that mean? I've never had a pet that didn't live with you, but lived with you. Like, what? So I'm sitting there, which I think Naomi, the Crafty Savage, had something like this, possibly. I don't know if it was her or not. But essentially, at their old house, which is right down the street from where we currently live right now, there was a stray cat by their house, and they would feed it. Well, because they moved up the street, the cat decided to move up the street. The problem is, I have a child that's allergic to cats. Severely allergic to cats. Really allergic to cats. Now, we let Orion touch the cat so he could see what happens, because he didn't remember what happens to him whenever he touches cats. Don't worry, it doesn't kill him. Like, it's not like my allergy to seafood. So it won't kill him, but it will make him miserable for at least a couple of days. So I was like, if you're willing to be miserable for a couple of days, we'll show you exactly what happens when you touch a cat. So we said, okay, we're gonna let him touch the cat. So we let him pet the neighbor's stray cat. Now, the reason why I said I don't know the situation is because the cat is a stray cat, but they will let the cat in their house for a couple of hours every day, let it play with their kids, and then let it back outside. I don't know. I've never dealt with a situation like this before, so I'm just like, I don't know what that means. So we had to let them know, you know, that's cool, that's fine. We have dogs. They're very friendly. We let the dogs out so their kids, like Daisy, could get used to their kids. And we explained to them, you know, okay, here's a couple of warnings about the dogs. If you happen to see them on your porch for any reason, just tell them to go home. I'm like, you can practice it now if you want. So I had the lady the lady of the house, I should say. I had her practice with the dogs to tell them to go home. So I was like, just say, go home. and point to the house. So she did, and Daisy and Killian both kind of looked at her at first, and they were just like, who the hell is this? And I do this for my neighbors because if they're scared of the dogs, just telling them to go home, the dogs will leave them alone. Now, my dogs have never bitten anybody or anything like that before somebody says something. They've never bitten anybody. They've tried, but they've never bitten anybody. And they only tried because this guy was, you know, spanking his daughter in front of the house, and Daisy was not having that. But I'm like, just tell them to go home. Also, please refrain from hitting your children in front of the dogs. If the dogs see you attempting to hit your child, whereas I'm an adult and I know how to mind my business, dogs are not the same. My dog will not mind her business, and she will bare teeth at you to get you away from your child. So please, if you're going to spank your child, do not let my dog see you do it. I'm like, I've tried training them not to react to stuff like that, but I unfortunately have been unsuccessful. So if they see you hit your child, they don't care. It's on site. They will come in front of you so that you can't get close to your child. And then you have to call me to call them off. And the guy goes, really? So he like raises his hand like he was about to hit his son, which his son knew he was just, you know, doing it to play. And Daisy immediately showed teeth, and he goes, whoa. I'm like, yeah. So I wouldn't advise, like, if you're going to spank them for doing something wrong, I don't have a problem with it. Spank them away. That's your kid. But don't do it in front of my dogs, because my dogs are very protective of small children. And he goes, well, that's really cool. And I'm like, yes and no. Yes, in the fact that my nobody's child will ever be abused in front of me. No, in the fact that one of these days somebody's not going to heed that warning and going to get bit. Anyways, so we let them know that Orion was scared of the dogs. We gave them the rundown of our dog, or Orion's allergic to cats. Oh my God, I can't talk. Orion's allergic to cats. So, you know, if they could please just, you know, I don't care that the cat lives outside and will walk the banister back and forth. The problem is now is that the cat, because he walks the banister, I have a Ring doorbell on my door. So anytime he walks on the banister by my house, my Ring doorbell goes off because he's walking the banister by my door. And he will walk all the way to the post right in front of the Ring doorbell and then just sit there and stare into the Ring doorbell. I feel like this cat is staring into my soul whenever I check it. And he scared the piss out of me the other day because I went to go check it. So I'm like, who's out the door? And it was the cat sitting on the banister, just deep staring, not blinking, just staring into the Ring doorbell. Scared the piss out of me. And I'm like, why does this cat keep coming over here all of a sudden? Like when they first moved in, like a week ago, it wouldn't come over to my side of the house. Now it's coming over, and I couldn't figure out why. I didn't put two and two together. Y'all know I ain't good at math. So I was just like, why is this cat all of a sudden coming over here? Well, Saturday after Orion comes in, he's like, Mommy, I don't feel good. I'm like, well, what's wrong? And he goes, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? If you don't feel good, what isn't feeling good? Oh, I don't know. What? How am I supposed to help you? Because you say you don't feel good. The first thing I want to do is what? Throw Robitussin at him. Of course. You got to pull out the tussin. He's sick. So obviously he needs tussin, right? Right. But unfortunately, tussin don't work for allergies. So I'm like Robitussin needs to come out with an allergy formula. So it's just like, well, what feels gross? What doesn't feel good? And he's like, well, my throat hurts. And I'm like, your throat hurts. Okay. And he goes, and I'm itchy. And you're itchy. Okay. I pull up his sleeve. He's covered in hives. Okay. So I look over at Mr. Coffee. I show him and I go, get the Benadryl. He goes and runs and gets the Benadryl. Maggie looks at Orion, and because she came in the house like a little bit before this, and she comes in the house and she sees Orion and she goes, what's wrong with Orion? By this time, Orion's face was swollen. He had hives and he was coughing. And she's like, is it the Rona? It's not the Rona. Oh, well, what's wrong with him? I'm like, allergies. Is that a fancy word for Rona? No, Maggie. Oh, is he going to be okay? He's going to be fine, Maggie. Does he want to go outside and play? No, I don't think he wants to go outside and play right now. He's looking like the Michelin Man. He needs to go lay down. We give him some Benadryl. I call his doctor to let his doctor know that he's having another allergic reaction, because whenever he has really bad ones, we call the doctor to make sure he doesn't want to see Orion. And with everything going on right now, I'm not about just taking my kids up to the doctor for no reason, spending money on a copay just for them to be like, he's all right. He all right. He good. So I'm just like, you know, do you need to see him? And they're like, no, just give him some Benadryl. Make sure he's still taking his allergy pills, and he should be fine. All right, bet. So we give him all the medication. And before we give him the medication, I noticed he had spiked a fever. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a bad one. Mr. Coffee's like, buckle in. So he goes to the store, grabs some more Benadryl and another thing of allergy meds, and then comes back and he goes, all right, we're all set. Ryan, you're about to be miserable. And so as we're sitting there, you know, getting everything prepped and ready, he has to have his dehumidifier. He has to have, like, he has a breathing treatment machine, but he doesn't necessarily need it because he has an inhaler now. So we get the inhaler, make sure it has enough puffs on it. We have the machine as a backup in case he needs it. We just have everything lined up, and that's around the time I put up that post. Please observe silence while I try to figure out what's going on, because at that point, we didn't know what exactly it was that sparked this attack. So I was, of course, concerned because I'm like, what did you touch? I don't know. Okay, so you don't know what you touched to have an allergic reaction to something. Did you roll around in the grass? No. Okay. I look at his legs. There's no hives on his legs. It's his arms and his face. And I'm like, all right, so you didn't roll in the grass. Did you fall in the grass? And he's like, no. I'm like, did you, I don't know, is your shower dirty? Like, does your shower need to be cleaned? Now, I clean their showers twice a week. And they get scrubbed down with bleach twice a week. So I was like, does your shower need to be cleaned? Did you happen to see any mold or something that mommy might have missed? And he goes, no. And I'm like, okay. And I'm grasping at straws here because I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, did you eat anything new at school? He's like, no. And I'm like, this can't just be because he went to school. Like, this is really bad. And Mr. Coffee and I are both sitting there, like, trying to figure out what happened. And we're like, and it dawned on me. I was like, hold up. Did you touch that cat? He's like, what cat? Oh, now we don't know what looks like to be a 30-pound cat sitting on the porch. We don't see this cat. We don't see it. We just not going to pretend like we don't see it. He goes, oh, that cat. Oh, that cat. Yes, that cat. Did you touch it? No. Maybe. I don't know. Ugh, sweet Lord and baby Jesus. Orion, just tell mommy if you touched the cat. Maybe. Maybe. So you might have touched it? I don't remember. I'm like, you don't remember touching the cat? I'm like, have you touched that cat since that first time we let you touch the cat? And he goes, well, yeah. I'm like, what do you mean, well, yeah? He goes, yeah, because it wasn't bad that first time I touched it, so I figured if I just pet it, I'll be fine. And I'm like, no, that's not how allergies work, buddy. I'm like, did you not realize that you took medicine after that? And he goes, well, yeah, but I figured I can just take some more medicine and I'll be fine. The problem with Orion's allergy is if you continuously introduce him to the allergen, it doesn't get his body used to it. It makes the allergy attack worse. So because he kept petting the cat over the course of 3 days, it really spiked up his allergies and he started running a fever. His body wasn't sore or anything, but he ran a fever, he has a cough, and his sinuses are draining. And his face was all puffy, he had hives, his eyes were watering, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you touched that cat. I'm like, how many times did you touch the cat? A couple. I'm like, what did we say about touching the cat? Don't touch the cat. But I just thought you were being paranoid again, Mom. I was, and I was right to do so. Were you not told to stop touching that cat? And he's like, yes. I'm like, now look at you. You're going to be miserable for the next couple of days. And he goes, that's okay. At least I don't have to go back outside. I'm like, please tell me you did this so that I don't force you to go back outside. I'm like, I haven't forced you to go outside since like 2 months ago. He's like, yeah, well, now I don't have to go outside, so I'm just going to go hang out in my room. I'm like, and don't think that just because you're hanging out in your room, you're playing video games. So we knew it was going to get worse before it got better. So over like Saturday, it got really bad. Sunday, it started calming down a little bit. And we had the air purifiers going in the house. We had the dehumidifier in his room, or the humidifier in his room going. He has tissues. He has hand sanitizer. He has his jug of water up there because I don't want to give him orange juice. Orange juice always seems to irritate his throat whenever he has allergies. So we don't give him orange juice when he's sick like that. We just make him drink a bunch of water. And he was fine for the most part, except for he kept spiking fevers. And I'm like, until you're 24 hours without a fever, I won't be sending you to school. So I'm like, you're probably going to miss school tomorrow. And he's like, but I have a project. Well, you should have thought about that before you started petting the freaking cat. You know how embarrassing it is to have to call up to your child's school in the middle of a panorama and go, oh yeah, sorry, my child has to miss school. Not because he has the, you know, the Rona, but because he petted a cat and he's allergic. Like, I made that call this morning. That snotty little lady at the office, like, look, listen, lady at his office can catch these hands, because I'm in the middle of trying to tell her why he's out of school and she's cutting me off to say goodbye. And I'm like, I'm sure glad that my son doesn't have the Rona, because if he did, God help you, because you wouldn't know, because you're so busy trying to get off this freaking phone right now instead of listening to what I have to say. And she's like, well, ma'am, I figured if he did, you would just tell us. Actually, you know what? No, I probably wouldn't, because why would I? And I'm like, now, honestly, I would, but she was getting on my goddamn own nerves. She literally kept saying, okay, well, thank you. Okay, well, thank you. Well, thank you. Like, she was doing that I'm going to rush you off the phone thing. Irritates the piss out of me, especially when I'm trying to explain to you something about my kid. And then I tell her that I'm going to need to sign whatever paperwork I need to sign so he can take his inhaler to school, because he will need it. Well, you'll have to come up to the office for that. Okay, bye. And she hangs up. I'm like, you stupid. Anyways, so Ryan is battling allergies. He is home today from school. But like I told him yesterday, just because you home from school don't mean you ain't gonna be doing school-like things. I still woke him up at normal school time. Still made him read his book. Still made him work on some homework assignments that he thought he might have, because he had like a packet of paperwork, and I was like, well, do at least 1 or 2 pages of that packet. I have things I have to do. I have to record videos and stuff. So my routine in the morning, like I tell him what my routine is in the morning, and he's like, oh, so you don't sit and watch TV all day? What? I'm like, why did you think I sat and watched TV all day? He goes, because you're a stay-at-home mom, but there's no kids home during the day, so I figured you just sat home and watched TV all day. I'm like, you ever noticed that you've never really seen your house dirty before? Who do you think does that? Not your dad, it's me. He's like, oh, so you don't just sit and watch TV all day. And he goes over to Mr. Coffee, goes, did you know that mom actually does stuff whenever we leave the house? And Mr. Coffee's like, yes, that's why you don't see the house dirty. And he's like, whoa, you do a lot, Mom. I'm like, yes, I do. I do a lot. That's why when I asked you guys for time to just sit down and craft, that's why, because I'm tired. And he's like, I just thought you were lazy. Look, kids have 0 F's to give, okay? He was just like, I just thought you were lazy. That's yes and no. When it comes to cleaning the house, I can't be lazy, because this happens to you if I'm lazy. Like, I can't afford to not clean my house one day, because if I have any dust or anything in the house, you'll go into an asthma frenzy. So I'm like, yeah, no, I gotta clean. I gotta do it. So he was just like, oh, okay. Well, then last night, when I went to go check on him, before bed every night, I check on the kids to make sure that they're okay. And of course, with him being sick, I checked to make sure he didn't have a fever. I took his temperature, and I have one of those thermometers that you like roll across your head. And I checked his temperature to make sure he was okay. And he wasn't running a fever, but I scared the crap out of him, because I went to go plug up his phone, but I have to plug it up on the side of his bed. And so when he woke up, all he sees is my butt sticking up in the air, because I had to bend over underneath the bed to get the charge cord, because for some reason his charge cord is under his bed. I don't ask questions, folks. I at this point, there's no point. So I was just like, all right then. So I go to grab the charge port, and he wakes up. He's like, ah. And I'm like, well, geez, you don't have to make that face. He's like, I didn't know what that big black thing was when I woke up. And I'm like, big black thing? I had on black pants. So I was just like, you know what? Forget you, kid. Charge your own phone. I tried to chuck the phone at him. I was like, charge your own phone. I went to go lay down. Mr. Coffee's like, what's wrong with you? Your son says I have a big butt. And he's like, what? And I tell him what he did, and he starts laughing. I'm like, that's not funny. So it was a crazy weekend. After I got a shower like in the afternoon on Sunday, I didn't know what to think, because look, listen, if you have a spouse that normally doesn't do housework and they start doing housework, look, listen, question your life choices. Something's up. And I was asking Mr. Coffee, I was like, what's going on with you today? Because Mr. Coffee helped me do laundry and helped me cook dinner. 2 things he never does. And I'm like, what the TF? Like, what's happening? What did I do wrong? Are you mad at me? And he's like, what? I'm like, are you mad at me? And he's like, why would I be mad at you? I don't know. Why are you doing laundry and cooking dinner? Like, I don't understand. Make it make sense. Usually I have to tell you to do these things, and you're actually doing them on your own. Like, I don't understand. Make it make sense. And he's just like, I just wanted to help you today. No, you didn't. Something's up. You want something. What do you want? And he's like, I don't want anything. And then he got mad at me because I said, you want something. And I'm like, you have to. Why else would you be doing nice things? You never do nice things. He does do nice things. Just not helping around the house nice things. So I'm just like, this is like, you don't see me coming into your job and knocking the squeegee out of your hand. Why are you coming up to my job doing things? And he's like, squeegee? What? I'm like, look, listen, I don't appreciate you coming to my job doing things and then like trying to outdo me or something. Like, what is happening? And he's like, where did I get a squeegee? I'm like, stop focusing on the damn squeegee. And so he's like, I just was trying to be nice and help you. And I was like, well, I appreciate it, I guess. And I just kind of walked away. I'm like, well, can I go get a shower then? I got to go get a shower. Y'all, I get out of the shower. And have you ever, like, gotten out of, like, you go into a room in your house and it smells like food and you think, like, like, your spouse made you something only to be disappointed? I was coming down the stairs yesterday, and I swear on all that is holy that I thought I smelled blueberry muffins. And blueberry muffins, they're not my favorite thing on the planet, but I love them so much. So I was just like, oh, you made me blueberry muffins? Mr. Coffee looks me straight in the face and goes, hell no. Why the hell would I do that? You know what? You were just being nice to me before I got a shower, and now all of a sudden you're being an asshole again? Like, what the hell? Like, your mood swings are worse than mine today. And he's like, well, why the hell would I make blueberry muffins? I don't know. Why the hell are you doing laundry and stuff? Like, I don't know what your plan is for today. Like, I don't know what I did to deserve this. But, yeah. And he's just like, I was just trying to be nice. God, I'm like, well, stop it. I don't like it. It's weird. And so, I was like, so you didn't make no blueberry pancakes? I was mad as hell, y'all, because I had my mouth watering for some blueberry pancakes. And it was just like a really strong smell right at the top of my stairs. And I'm like, not pancakes, but muffins. And I was just like, ooh, blueberry muffins sound good. Nice warm blueberry muffins. And I like rushed down the stairs like a little kid on Christmas just to find out, to my disappointment, that there was no blueberry muffins. And he's like, well, now you see how I feel whenever I come home from work every freaking day and all you got are these Scentsy burners burning, and I'm thinking you're making sweet treats in here, and I come home to find out it's a tart. And I'm like, well, I want the house to smell good. He goes, I don't know what you think those ferrets smell like, but they don't stink. So you don't need to be running the Scentsy things every day, okay? Every day I come home to disappointment. I'm like, would you like me to bake you something? He's like, no. I bake. Don't touch my cake. He just got new cake pans, so I'm not allowed to touch his new cake pans. So it's just like, okay, weirdo. Y'all, Mr. Coffee ain't right. Like, he ain't all there. I still love him, but he ain't all there, y'all. So as you can tell, it was a pretty chaotic weekend. I'm about to finish this up today, too, because I'm already tired of looking at it. It's been sitting on Mr. Coffee's inversion table, and I was trying to figure out which kit I wanted to do next. And he's like, how about the one that's sitting over there on my inversion table so I can actually use it? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's not like a coat rack or anything. Like, y'all know we have exercise equipment in our houses that are coat racks. And that inversion table is that's our version of workout equipment. I don't know why he doesn't put it away, but whatever. So, yeah, it was a pretty busy weekend trying to figure out things with Orion. And then, of course, then there's Maggie. Maggie, we did laundry this weekend, right? All right, sorry about that. Phone call came through. So Maggie this weekend, because we told you all about Orion. Maggie this weekend, she just was normal Maggie self. She spent most of her time outside. Right now, her big kick is Cheez-Its. She will do anything. Like, you remember that commercial? What would you do for a Klondike bar? Maggie's theme song would be, what would you do for Cheez-Its? And so, like, her whole life revolves around Cheez-Its. She wants it breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She wants it for a snack. She wants it for a midnight snack. She tried to get them for a midnight snack, but she's too small. And I've been purposely putting them up on the highest shelf so she can't reach them. Because if she'll still cheese in the middle of the night, she'll still Cheez-Its, okay? So I put them up high, and then I hide the stepladder so she can't find it. And then I put all the chairs on top of the table so she can't take them down. Like I do restaurant style whenever I put my chairs up on the table. I was going to use my RoboVac because I got one of those Roombas for my birthday. And I was going to use that to mop my floor. But then after listening to Rachel go on about how hers, whenever she uses the mop function on hers, how the butt of it would come off and just leave water everywhere, I've been too afraid to use it. So I've been still hand mopping. Even though the robot vacuum has a function on it to mop, I'm just like, I don't want to have to pick up water. It's bad enough I had to pick up after the ferrets as it is. I don't want to have to pick up water too. So I'm like, I'm just going to hand mop. So I hand mopped the floor yesterday. And I need to do like my scrubbing feature on the floor, but I'll do that at some other time. But I was mopping the floor, and when I mopped the floor, I put the chairs up with I washed the seats off. Like I have to sanitize the kitchen table, and then I sanitized the seats and the backs of the chairs and the table. And then I put the chairs on top of the table, not by their feet, but the butt part sits on the table where the back is hanging off of the table, like you do at a restaurant whenever the restaurant closes. And I did that so she couldn't grab one of the chairs and try to use it because she's too small to try to get that off the table by herself. So, like, if we don't want Maggie to get something, it's very easy to keep her from doing it. Problem is, half the time she's smarter than the average bear and she'll figure out a way around it. Like, I was half tempted. I was half expecting to walk into the living room this Sunday to see like the couch moved into the kitchen or something. Like Maggie has ungodly strength when she needs it, apparently. Anyways, so she's been all about her Cheez-It life, and like after spending most of the day asking Orion if he has the Rona, she kept coming into the kitchen while I'm cooking and being like, "Can I get Cheez-Its?" "No." "Wait till lunchtime." "What time is lunchtime?" 2 o'clock. And she's like, "Okay." Because they're on a schedule at home. Because if I don't put them on a feeding schedule, look, listen, they will eat everything in this house the day I buy it. So I'm just like, no, you're on a schedule. From the time you wake up until 10 o'clock, it's breakfast. From that point on, you wait until 2 o'clock to have lunch. And then around 5:30, 6 o'clock, we have dinner. Then you can have a snack. And then you're done eating and the kitchen is closed. Y'all, this girl tried to, that's why I was telling you guys on Friday in live, she was sneaking Cheez-Its in her pockets of her jacket. She was sneaking Cheez-Its upstairs so she could eat them. And then came, like, right after live was over on Friday, she had the nerve to ask me, could she have Cheez-Its? I'm like, chick, it's almost 11 o'clock at night. You're going to bed. Meanwhile, she's half asleep as it is already because she had fallen asleep on the floor. And she's just like, I'm not tired. Isn't it funny how tired children aren't, but the moment they stop moving, they fall asleep? I don't get the logic behind it. I'm like, as an adult, you're going to want those naps. Believe me, I would kill for an uninterrupted nap. I still have not gotten that goddamn old nap. And I dang sure ain't going to get it today because I have a sick kid home. I still have to get the ferrets out of their cage and clean their cage. I went to go play with the ferrets yesterday, and the freaking Anais was sitting there, and there's something about my nails that they like, so she ended up like ripping one of my nails off my finger, which it didn't hurt because the glue was loosening up anyways, but she took one of my nails off my finger, and I had to go get it back from her. The problem is when she did it, at first I didn't realize she did it, and so like you would have noticed in Monday's video that I was missing a nail. That's why. I told you, she chooses violence. All right, so we're on our last section of this kit. So I need to remove all of this over here. We're going to get rid of this, or we'll pull the paper up. How about that? So we're going to, all right, I'm going to struggle bust this. I'll be right back. All right, so we're over on this part here. There's something on here that's stuck to my glue. So all I have left of this kit is to do the ponytail, which I should have, again, done by today. And then you guys will get a post review probably either Saturday or next week sometime. But, yeah. And it's also funny because the kids have one-track minds. So, like, this entire time that Orion's been, like, home today, he's been like, can I say hi to Miss Becky? Can I say hi to Miss Becky? Like, their biggest thing is saying hi to Miss Becky because I do voice recordings when I talk to Becky. And they want to record their voice saying something. And then they want to listen to it. I'm like, why do you want to listen to what you just said? Like, they have this obsession with wanting to record themselves doing stuff and then watch it back. And I'm like, oh boy. So, like the entire weekend Orion was sick. He woke up at like 11 o'clock on Saturday and he was just like, are you still watching Jeremy? I'm like, no. He gets confused, obviously, because he just woke up. So he thought it was morning. And I was just like, it's not morning, dude. It's evening. And he's like, are you still watching Jeremy? I'm like, nope, Jeremy didn't go live today. Jeremy wasn't feeling good. And he goes, I don't feel good. I'm like, what's bothering you? I don't know. Okay. And then he was like, can I say hi to Miss Becky? No. He goes, why don't you let me say good morning to Miss Becky anymore? I'm like, one, because by the time you're getting ready for school, that woman is still asleep. Two, you don't need to say hi to Miss Becky. You say hi to her in the after. I think they're scared that Miss Becky's going to forget who they are. I'm like, she's not going to forget you, believe me. She can't. Poor woman. Anyways. But yeah, Maggie, this weekend, she decided that she chose violence for some reason. She's not used to not getting a lot of attention. And it's not usually the best attention because she's usually getting in trouble for something she's doing. So I was just like, Maggie, like we kept having to ask her to stop doing things because we would tell her she couldn't have any Cheez-Its and she would start like acting out like that was going to get her Cheez-Its. Like we were just going to be like, oh, well, you're acting up. Here, have some Cheez-Its. No. Cheez-Its are a delicious snack for good children, not for little mischief monkeys. And she's like, I don't want to be a mischief monkey. I'm like, well, then stop misbehaving. I'll try really hard, I promise. Not even within the same breath, she goes over and does something to the ferrets. And one of the ferrets ends up jumping out of the cage. And I'm like, God dang it, Maggie, why would you do that? She's like, I was trying to be good, but the cage just flew open. She was messing with the handles on the cage to the ferrets. And, of course, Anais, my female that chooses violence, got out. We couldn't find her for an hour. And I was just like, I don't know where she's at. And Mr. Coffee's like, I don't know, but I got to go walk the dogs. And I'm like, well, be careful opening the door because if she runs out, I don't think the Ring doorbell is going to catch it. So he's like, all right. So he goes to go grab his shoe. He goes, ew, there's something wet in my shoe. And I'm like, what the hell? He goes to grab his shoe. Here, there was Anais in his boot. And I'm like, why is she wet? Is the inside of your shoe wet? And he's like, no. He's like, I don't know why she's wet. She smells awful. She smells like dog breath. And I'm like, dog breath. I look over and there's Killian. Killian comes over, grabs her up, takes her to his crate, and then just starts licking her. And I'm like, well, that would probably explain why she's wet. Killian probably got a hold of her and was licking her. And because their dog crates are behind the couch, we can't see if they have something in there with them. Usually they don't put things in their crates anyways. Usually if anybody does, it's Maggie. So we just probably assumed that Maggie had put like a ball or a toy in their crate or something. And the crates, we don't close the crates. They stay open for the dogs. And unless we have like company coming over that haven't been introduced to the dogs, or if there's little kids that are scared of the dogs, we'll close the crates. But for the most part, they essentially go in there whenever they feel like it. They have cooling mats in their crates. So that way also whenever they get really hot, they can go sit in the crate on the cooling mat and they're good. But we didn't notice that he had a ferret in his crate with him. And he, sure enough, just picked her right on up. As soon as I got her, he grabbed her, took her over to his crate, and started, like, obsessively licking her. And I'm like, why is he doing that? And Mr. Coffee's like, I don't know, but the inside of my boot is now wet. And I'm like, I don't care about your boot. Put it on the boot warmer. We have one of those boot warmers that you plug in and it blows the air into the boot to dry it and stuff. It's great for, especially if you have children that like to get wet, or if you live in a wet climate and you want to essentially keep your shoes dry and not having them stanking up to, oh, God be damned. Boot dryer, highly recommend. So, and because Mr. Coffee works where he does, or he did work out in the field, he doesn't leave the shop now, which is great. But because when he did work out in the field, he would come home on days that it snowed and stuff, and his boots would be wet. It keeps his boots dry and free of moisture and all that other fun stuff. So I was like, just put them on the boot warmer. You're just going to probably have your feet smell like dog breath. So we put like some baby powder in his boots so it wouldn't smell like dog breath because, you know, he couldn't have that. So let's see, number 8. So yeah, so Maggie's just doing the most this weekend. And then this morning, Sundays I wash clothes. Sorry, I'm looking for my next number. Sundays, I wash clothes, okay? So everybody knows the routine. You get up, you get dressed, or you get a shower, you get dressed. I'm the only one that doesn't shower as soon as I wake up because I have to get up, get the dogs out, get the kids' medicine out, get the ferrets cleaned up, get the ferrets out of their cage for the day and back in the back room playing, and then clean out their cage and everything else before I got a shower. Which is why it was so surprising that Mr. Coffee was awake, because usually I don't have any help with those activities. I do them by myself. So to have him awake, like, I did appreciate it. I just didn't know why he was doing it. I was just like, this man's about to leave me or something. Like, he's trying to get up his skills on how to clean so he can leave. And he's like, I'm not leaving. I'm like, why you say that? Because I said that in my head. He's like, I heard it. It was loud. I was like, oh, okay. Anyways, so... paranoid brain. This is how my brain works, y'all. Y'all wanted to know this is how it works. So that's why it was so strange that he was helping me, because I usually do all the activities by myself, and so I usually get a shower in the afternoons. So, and even on the days that the kids have school, I get a shower in the afternoons. So I was just like, all right, so I'm gonna go get a shower. Well, luckily, everything was already done by the time I got my shower and everything. And I told Mr. Coffee, you know, get the kids' laundry together. Or I tell them to get their laundry together, because they're 10 and 8. They can get their own laundry together. So I was like, you guys need to get your laundry together while I'm in the shower. And then when I get out of the shower, I'll start laundry. Okay. All right, bet. Get in the shower. Come out of the shower. I was in the shower maybe 30 minutes. Come out of my room, the basket's full. I tell Mr. Coffee, because the way this works is he pulls he pulls the basket into the hallway. Each kid takes a basket, because there's 3 little baskets that attach from this system, and they each put their clothes in the basket, and we put our clothes in one of the baskets. And then Mr. Coffee brings it downstairs to the laundry room. I wash, dry, fold the clothes, and then Mr. Coffee takes the basket upstairs, and everybody puts their clothes away. Everybody's happy with clean clothes. Well, we tell the kids to do this, and we make sure to let them know to put their mask in the mesh bag. Now, the kids have masks for one. They can wear a different mask every day for a month and still have mask. Okay, that's how many masks I have stocked up now, and I'm still buying more of them and making more of them for them. But yeah, so I was just like, get your mask, put them in the mesh bag, and then I'll get Daddy to come get the basket. So the kids got their laundry together, put the stuff in the basket, took it downstairs. I washed, dried, and folded it, had it back upstairs by 5 o'clock. And I was just like, all right, we're good. Like, the activities I have to do for Sundays is good. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen on Sundays to get ready for Monday. So I was just like, all right. Well, then this morning, I get up. Maggie gets up, and she's like, is Orion going to school? And I said, no. She's like, oh, okay. She goes, is it I'm like, it's not the Rona. And she's like, is he feeling better? I'm like, a little bit, but not 100%. So I'm going to keep him home just for today. And of course, she didn't really care. Like, I thought she was going to be like, well, I want to stay home too. She was like, I don't care. Like, I get free lunch. I don't know how many times I have to explain to this child that she's never paid for any lunch in her entire life. I'm like, you're 8. You've never had to pay for lunch. Like, never. And when I say that, I mean, she's never went to the store by herself, bought something for herself to eat for lunch, and then ate it. Like, she's never bought lunch. I buy her lunch. Or when we did have to pay for school lunches, I would buy the school lunches. So I'm like, I don't get what the free lunch thing is about. And when you're at home, I don't charge you for your food, so you're still getting free lunch. And she's like, but it's not school food. I don't know what that means. Apparently the school food is on point, because she's a luncher now. She goes to school. She's here for lunchtime. So I was just like, all right, whatever. So she gets up, she gets dressed, and when she's brushing her teeth is when I do her hair. So I'm doing her hair, and I happen to notice that her towel's on the floor. And I'm like, why is your towel on the floor? And she goes, oh, I forgot to hang it up. I'm like, hold up. Did I not wash your bath towel this week? And she goes, no. I'm like, why didn't you put it in the laundry? I don't know. And then I look at her laundry basket, which is half filled with clothes. And she had just asked me to open up the toothpaste container for her. So I open up the toothpaste container, I turn around and look at the laundry basket. I'm like, Maggie! I must have scared the piss out of her, because when I did that, she flinched. She like jumped. When she jumped, the top for the toothpaste was in her hand, and she flung it. And I was like, why didn't you take your clothes to get washed? I don't know. I'm like, did we not tell you to take your clothes to get washed? And she's like, well, yeah. I'm like, why didn't you? I don't know. So I'm like, well, it looks like you're wearing jeans this week because wash, dry, fold day is over. I don't do laundry on odd days unless Mr. Coffee has something going on where he needs a particular shirt or a pair of pants. I don't do laundry on odd days. I know people that do laundry every day. I don't know how you do it. God bless you. I'll say prayers for you, but I can't do it. I can't. One day a week, I have the motivation to wash, dry, fold, put away. And half the time, I don't even want to put away my own clothes. So let alone, I'm not putting away the tiny humans' clothes. So I'm just like, yeah, no, they can put their own clothes away. I'm like, I have already done laundry for the week, ma'am. Your laundry basket will have to sit full until next week. Unless you wash them yourself. She goes, well, I'll wash them. I'm like, I know you will because I ain't doing it. Look, don't worry. She knows how to use the washer. The only problem is I have to hold her feet so she can get to the bottom of the washer without having to stand in it because she's too small to do the washer. How many people having short people problems with the washer and dryer? So I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, all right. Well, she brings her laundry basket downstairs. It is now full of clothes. And I'm like, then what was the stuff that I washed this weekend? Like, I remember washing almost every outfit she wore to school, minus one or two, which will happen every once in a while with Maggie. And I should have went and looked for them, but I didn't because I was busy with the whole Orion ordeal that I didn't think to go look for it. And she was just like, oh, well, you know, I didn't get my clothes in there from last week either. And I'm like, why? You know we do this every week. Well, then she takes and goes back upstairs to go finish brushing her teeth. I go upstairs to go finish doing her hair. And I'm like, where's the cap to the toothpaste? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? She goes, I don't know. I have to go to the potty. She goes to sit down. She goes to the bathroom. She stands up. What's in the toilet? The top to her toothpaste. Before I could tell her don't flush, she flushes the freaking toilet. Now, this isn't like my old place where we had bad plumbing. Nay. These are industrial toilets, apparently. Like, they were built for oil-filled men. So I'm just like, no! Thinking, one, it's going to clog the toilet. And two, that's never going to flush down. Nay. But it did. Never to be seen again. And I'm like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. How in the hell are you supposed to put the top on your toothpaste if you have no top? And she's like, oops. You just flushed a whole top to a toothpaste down the toilet. Well, you can put your hand in there and go get it. I'm not putting my hand in there after you done peed on it. And she's like, well, why would I want that back on my toothpaste? Look, listen, I've had enough for today. I'm done. I can't go away. Just go away. And she goes, well, you got to take me to school. Please, God, hurry up and so we can get you to school. So I took her to school this morning. And I was like, I can't. I'm going to relax for the day. I've done no relaxing, but it's been relaxing to be able to diamond paint throughout the day. So thank you guys for listening to me ramble. It's been a rough weekend. But yeah, I probably should get going. I hope you guys got some work done amongst this. I got quite a bit done. Like I said, I'll probably finish this today because I only have these couple of colors left. And let's see. So I have this part here and this part up here, which I will probably finish today. So yeah, and I'm going color by color. So it's like one color, two color, and I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 colors left to do before I'm done for the day. That should be easy. So with that said, I must now bid you adieu. But not before reminding you that it's hard out here in these crafty streets. If you're one of these people in Louisiana, please stay safe amongst Storm Ida. If you're in one of these places experiencing the heat wave and the forest fires, please stay safe. And always stay safe out here in these crafty streets. And remember to keep wearing that mask. Keep washing those hands. Don't touch your face out in public, folks. Keep your 6 feet and always try. Be kind. Be courteous. Be cool. Bye, guys.